everybody, this is David Wolfe, and we are going to make a superhero super tea mushroom cacao superfood smoothie. Shouldn't really be called a smoothie anymore. It's some kind of an elixir of some sort, kind of an update on where we're actually at with smoothie technology and drink technology, beverage technology. We've got all our superfoods and super herbs over here. We've got spring water all over the place. Spring water in a bottle here, spring water over here. And of course, we have spring water as the base for our entire drink right underneath here. That's Chaga and Reishi tea. So for those of you who don't know and have never seen Chaga or Reishi tea, we're going to have a delightful time in this recording checking that out. Now, this is Reishi, local wild Reishi, which is what's in there. You can see how incredible these mushrooms are. So this is the #1 immune system herb in the world, which is growing wildly where we are in the Catskill Mountains of New York State. And we've got the Siberian shaman super mushroom of all time that was found on the Iceman, who was dug up after 5,000 years of being frozen in ice with one of these mushrooms on him. This is the Siberian Chaga, but it's not just from Siberia. It also grows right here in the Catskill Mountains of New York wildly. And that is also in our tea. So this is spring water, Reishi, and Chaga in this container right here that's been heated but not boiled. And it's pretty hot. It's not that hot though. And we're basically kind of making a hot chocolate because chocolate will be in there, and then we'll be working with the chocolate flavor quite a bit with our super herbs. So we're going to develop this thing from the ground up. First of all, we got to get our container, which is over here. Okay, so that's our container. And I like to get all my ingredients into the container first, pour the tea in, blend it real fast. I've got a special technique that I've been learning with this kind of a blender with no dial. And we're going to use that. And then pour. And then we're ready to rock and roll. So let's start out with the base. First things first, I like to get our fats in there. So I've got some Brazil nut butter, and I'm just going to literally pour some of that Brazil nut butter into the drink. How much? It's probably equivalent to about 2 tablespoons I've got in there so far. Maybe I'll do a little bit more. And that gives a little bit of body to the smoothie. Otherwise, it's going to be thin and watery. It's got to be more milkshakey, and that's why we use the fats and the oils to give it that thickness. This is kind of space-age food, beyond space-age food. Okay, so if we're not drinking this on spaceships, we're not even going in spaceships. Now we've got this cool little product, which I picked up at the store the other day. This is Flora's Flax Oil DHA Algae Oil. It's kind of a mix. It's really good for your brain, your eyes, your nervous system. And I'm going to throw a few little squirts of that in there. So boom, that's about 1.5 tablespoons. We'll probably do a little bit more. Done. Schlink, flump, flamp, flump. Done with that. Put that out of the way. Okay, now we're using a special thing to create more body here. We've got oils and fats in there, but I've got Health Force's Zeolite product, which is something I've been playing around with for years. And then before that, it used to be clay, and we used to put clay into our smoothies because it's a detoxifier. It helps your body detoxify, helps you actually get rid of heavy metals and other volatile organic compounds which are toxic, like heavy metals that could be in our environment, or you could have breathed in, or you could have gotten into your food and maybe actually hurting you right now because it's in your tissues somewhere. We got to get that stuff out. So we put this in. This adds to that milkshakey type of consistency. Now I could literally shovel this out, and I will just so you can see how much we're going to use. But this powdered product is like, we're going to use a heaping tablespoon. There it is right there. And boom, that goes in. Maybe a little bit more. We'll probably just use another half a heaping tablespoon, or just a level tablespoon. If I was to level that out, that would actually be a level tablespoon. And boom, that will go in. And it's a little bit kind of chalky. It's a volcanic type of rock that's been crushed to a powder, but it is so powerful as a detoxifier, and it's so good to kind of build that milkshakey consistency that boom, we're getting it in there. Now we're going to start looking at what kind of smoothie this is going to be. We like the chocolate angle, so we're going to go there next. This is our cacao powder. And we're just going to do enough cacao powder to kind of set it into motion and give it that chocolate spin. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. There's 1 heaping tablespoon, and then maybe about half that again, just to kind of spin it, maybe a little tiny bit more. So that was maybe 2 heaping tablespoons of cacao powder. So we got that in there now. Cacao, of course, is chocolate, raw chocolate. Cacao, C-A-C-A-O, is actually the same as chocolate. And we've got that in there. Okay, now, normally I would also put a little bit of cacao butter in there or some cacao beans, which we don't have right now. No big deal. We're going to skip right past that and now decorate that chocolate flavor. We're going to use Mucuna, which is a super jing herb, meaning kidneys, adrenals, lower back, knees, ankles, hearing, and nervous system neurotransmitter rejuvenator. Mucuna, one of my favorite herbs ever. In fact, I got so into this herb that I started growing it. I grew this herb in Hawaii, and I've been growing it in Hawaii. I actually saw this plant, which is a vine, grow about 4 inches in an hour. Like Jack on the Beanstalk level, never seen anything like it. I was so shocked by it, I grabbed everybody and just showed them like what had happened. It's a miraculous plant. It's the best natural source of L-Dopa, and it has to do with Parkinson's. So people with Parkinson's have an L-Dopa problem or a dopamine pathway problem, and this is the best natural source of L-Dopa, which helps to solve the dopamine pathway problem. Tastes like chocolate as well. It's made not out of the vine itself, but it's actually made out of the seed of the vine. So I'm going to put in a heaper in there. That's 1 heaping tablespoon. And another heaper in there, which is going to be 2 heaping tablespoons. That wasn't quite a heaping tablespoon, so you get a little bit more. Okay, now we got the Mucuna aspect, which is, again, chocolatey. It's been eaten with chocolate, Mucuna, for thousands of years in Central America. Shilajit. Shilajit is a mineral pitch that comes from the Himalayas. It's really rich in fulvic acid. It's a great detoxifier and nourisher. This is something you got to be careful when you use Shilajit, because if you go too far, too fast, it's going to throw the flavor, meaning your flavor is going to get ruined. You got to use just the right amount. So I like this much, too much. Heaping tablespoon, that's too much. Level tablespoon's probably going to cut it. It's got a chocolatey flavor. Again, what I'm saying is that we're going to decorate that chocolate flavor. This is an Ayurvedic super medicinal substance, something to look into. Shilajit, S-H-I-L-A-J-I-T, Shilajit. Check it out. Okay, now, what else can we do? Well, we like to go, there it is, the Maca. We like to go to Maca next, which is a superfood adaptogen, true meaning of an adaptogen from the Andes. It helps you adapt to high elevation, high altitude by oxygenating you more, gives you a lot more vigor based on its neurotransmitter support and endocrine support. It is known to influence the hypothalamus, and this is something that's really interesting. When you take maca, you start feeling it mostly like adrenals and kind of reproductive. It's kind of an aphrodisiac, but really the real story apparently is that it's actually working on your hypothalamus, which is a gland in your brain, and it helps your hypothalamus to kind of like ramp up production of all your endocrine system. And not only all that, but it's also 17 of 18 amino acids. It's 20 trace minerals, and generally considered the Peruvian ginseng, but it's not like ginseng. I think it's even easier and better than ginseng. It's more of a food, and we're going to throw that in there. So we've got a heaping tablespoon of maca. If you do too much maca, again, you can throw the flavor like we saw with the shilajit. You got to use just the right amount. Maca is M-A-C-A, and we got that going in. Okay, now what else do we have? We have acai. Now, acai is a superfood from the Amazon. Kind of like cacao is. Chocolate is originally from the Amazon, and it's got such a delicious flavor. It also helps us to decorate that chocolate idea. Acai and cacao are usually grown together. They're both tropical Amazonian plants and trees. This is the seed of the palm of the acai. You can see it's beautiful, purplish, fleshy fruit that's been shaved off and dried for us and shipped here to America. Boom, that goes in. That's going to make it just delicious because it's so good. We're going to do a little bit more. So that was a heaping tablespoon. Now we're going to do like a little bit less than a level tablespoon. Acai, you can never really throw the flavor of something with acai because it tastes so delicious. However, if you're guiding your drink, you got to kind of know where you're going. And since this isn't an acai drink, it's more of kind of a chocolatey drink and a milkshakey type of thing, where you're going to use just the right amount. All right, now we're going over here to mesquite meal, which is a good balancer for cacao. Mesquite's high in calcium, cacao has high in magnesium, and it's a good balance. We generally like to bring in that calcium-magnesium balance into any chocolate drink. Again, chocolate, really high in magnesium. Then you need something that's really high in calcium. Of course, we don't want to use a calcium supplement. We don't want to use chalk or any of this calcium carbonate nonsense that's sold out there as calcium supplements for our bones, which don't work and actually cause heart disease, according to the latest research. Can increase your heart disease risk by 30%. So we want to use a natural form of calcium. Mesquite is a good one. So we're going to put in, we're going to get in maybe a just slightly more than a level tablespoon, slightly less than a heaping tablespoon, and that's going to go in.